Hey guys, welcome back to Serial at Midnight. I wanted to briefly spotlight one of my most anticipated releases of the entire year. This is Laurel and Hardy Year 2, the newly restored 1928 Silence. Of course, this is a continuation of what started really last year with Laurel and Hardy Year 1, the 1927 Silence. And 1927 was, of course, the year that they came together. It was Year 1. But it's interesting that at the time that this collection starts, 1928, right, they've only been together as a team for like 6 or 7 months. And yet, so much of the formula, not the rapport, the chemistry is already there. The shtick, the stuff that they would do. This stuff is timeless. It is truly timeless. When I covered the 1927 release, I had Randy Skretvedt on to talk with me about it. Randy Skretvedt is one of the, you know what, I'm going to say one of the 5 most knowledgeable people about Laurel and Hardy walking the planet today. He knows so much. He rejected my high praise. He was like, no, I'm just a fan, but he really is one of the, I'm going to say, I probably 3, maybe 2 or 3, but he knows so much, and he's all over this release. He's contributed special features, commentaries, among other people as well. But I wanted to reference you to my 1927 video, which I'll have linked up here, and it's in the description of this as well. Because I talked to Randy for about an hour about the shorts themselves, his commentaries on the shorts, his interviews with the people behind the scenes. You know, decades ago, he interviewed some of these people while they were still alive. Some of those are carried over. We'll get to that in just a second. But really, before we go any further, I wanted to highlight that this is made possible. This is a release through Flickr Alley. It's Black Hawk Films, BFI, the Library of Congress, MoMA. There's a lot of people that are involved in making these restorations possible. I don't want to oversell it because these are still almost 100 years old, but they look incredible. And the fact that we have these restorations in the ongoing preservation efforts that exist now, it's really mind-blowing to me. Mind-blowing. And it speaks to the love of cinema for so many people, and it speaks to the timeless appeal, the quality of these shorts. And it just makes me really happy. They hold up really well. For me, I think they hold up really well. I got to see some of these live, well, with an audience, at Cinecon 2024 this year in Beverly Hills, and Flickr Alley was there presenting a few of the restorations, and they killed. These shorts killed. The audience was roaring. One guy in front of me was laughing so hard that he couldn't catch his breath. He was like, you know, ha 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 ha, like doubled over, and then like I've never heard somebody laugh that hard in a silent, a 1928 silent short. It was amazing. So I'm so happy that I'm making this video because I want to make sure everybody knows about this release. There's a ton of stuff here. I'm not going to read all of this to you guys, but we're talking about when you combine, there's shorts here that are tangential to Laurel and Hardy too, things that's not just them. So all told, there's about 14 shorts here. Audio commentary tracks for each film by historians and authors Randy Skretvedt, see previous video, and Richard W. Band. They are so knowledgeable about this stuff. I was listening to one of the tracks, and he's like, you know, this actress she graduated from Hollywood High. Talk about the 20s, right? He's graduated in the 1920s. Let me be clear. The 1920s, 100 years ago. Graduated from Hollywood High, went to this college, got a degree in blah, 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 and a degree. Like, incredible depth of knowledge, talking about the sets and the people that were working on them at the time, and like the behind-the-scenes crew. They have forgotten more than most of us will ever know about Laurel and Hardy and just silent film production. Exclusive rare audio featuring Anita Garvin Stanley, Thomas Benton Roberts, Hal Roach, Stan Laurel. So this is from Randy Skretvedt's archive, where he would go interview people, and he has the tapes, right? He has these he had tons, and I don't know how many recordings he has. We talked about it in the interview. He has tons of recordings of people that are no longer with us, haven't been with us for a long time, but their stories are preserved via these recordings, and some of these recordings are here. Additional music scores, so you've got a lot of audio options here. I won't get into the weeds on that. Laurel and Hardy on location in year 2. That's a video essay talking about the locations. That's them, but let me shout out the credit where it's due. That's by historian John Bankston. Now I'll Tell You One is a rare fragment of a Charlie Chase two-reeler featuring appearances by both Stan and Ollie. So that's why that's here. It's a fragment. But it's cool to have that. Eve's Love Letters is 1927. By the way, Now I'll Tell You is 27. Eve's Love Letters is 27. One of Stan Laurel's final solo films. So that's included here. Galloping Ghosts from 1928. Two surviving fragments of a rare solo Oliver Hardy comedy. So again, fragments, but this is the best we're ever going to get. You're only ever going to get I mean, look, knock on wood, maybe somebody's going to find something at some point and they can put that back together. A Pair of Tights, a short starring Anita Garvin and Marion Byron, who were teamed to try to replicate the success of Laurel and Hardy. George Mann's home movies from behind the scenes of the Hal Roach Studios, including the filming of Should Married Men Go Home. Behind the scenes footage from, I'm going to keep saying it, from 100 years ago. These are time capsules, guys. Time machines are real. This is a time machine. So my film historian, like, you know, history is such a passion to me, and this brings history to life. It's not a dusty textbook page. This really brings the past to life. That's why I love it so much. And then the Souvenir book, Image Galleries and the Souvenir booklet. Okay, so it's a 2-disc set. This booklet is beautiful. By the way, really nice inner sleeve artwork too, with some of the promotional materials, the printed promotional materials. But this booklet is really something else. You know, it didn't have to be what it is. Look, we got prologue, and then they break down every short here. Film notes by Randy Skretvedt. Does he do all of them? I think he does do all of these. So there you go again. So he's written up all of the, because he's the author associated with Laurel and Hardy too. He's written tomes, thousands of pages about Laurel and Hardy. Production history, synopsis, film history, restoration notes. I'm probably not going to, well, maybe I will do every page. Why not? Just to show you. Again, a little bit over a dozen shorts. There's A Pair of Tights. We've got an essay, All Too Human, Laurel and Hardy and Their Gang by Imogen Sarah Smith, who's all over supplemental features these days. She is incredibly prolific. This is very detailed, see? And then From Silent to Synchronized, Sound Comes to the Roach Studios. That's again by Randy Skretvedt, talking about the coming of sound. Not necessarily sound. Now, Laurel and Hardy sound shorts don't really start until 1929, so that'll be the next collection. Again, knock on wood. I hope that these keep coming. But talking about how they would add sound effects to certain things, how they would add synchronized recordings to. Anyway, it's a really interesting essay. And that's it. That's the book. So anyway, this is one of my favorite things. I do lists at the end of every year. I can go ahead and tell you this is surely going to be on my list because I just love film history. And this is one of those things that is, it sits at the crossroads of preservation, but also curation in a sense of like, just these chronological collections. It looks great as this little, you know, this complete year package filled with supplemental material. It is a course, an educational course on Laurel and Hardy at this time. It's invaluable, really. I'm not trying to overpraise. I'm trying to be very clear about, like, because, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. If you're not familiar with silence, that's a barrier. The lack of sound can be a barrier, but I think that once you give yourself over to it, all these guys, I think that Charlie Chaplin, I think that Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd, okay, let's go for all of them. There's something about these silent comedians, silent performers, silent actors that really transcends any sort of a barrier if you just give yourself to it, if you just open yourself up to it. And I just feel grateful. I'm so happy that this is happening right now. So Laurel and Hardy Year 2, the newly restored 1928 Silence. I'm going to put a link in the description of this episode to where you can purchase this. If you do that, you'll be supporting both Flicker Alley and the people that restored this, and Cereal at Midnight. And I'll link to my discussion with Randy Skretvedt about Laurel and Hardy, the enduring appeal of Laurel and Hardy like 100 years after the fact. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Take care. Till next time, I will catch you later.